We have been talking about this for a very long time,
Yes.
this diversification. Even when we had the boom, we've been talking about diversification. Now that we're experiencing the slump, how successful do you really think that this drive will be to look at other areas, to increase taxation? Do you really think it is something that we can pull off?
Oh, I think so too. Let's look at it. They've been doing something, maybe it's not been too visible, but I think they've been doing something in terms of the agri sector, for example. That sector has grown a lot. For some time now, the Minister of Agri has done a wonderful thing there, and we are seeing that sector coming up in a robust manner. I also want us to remember the economy was rebased recently, bringing into picture the entertainment and all those stuff, all that industry. That's the major sector that was not counted in those days. By the time proper accounting is put in place, all those sectors are supposed to generate some income by way of taxation. You get what I'm saying? So if taxation is actually given the right pride of place in this economy, that's why I said with the size of our economy and what goes on here.
Taxation?
Yes.
In the entertainment sector, they're looking for support.
Yes, support will come.
What we're getting more is, we need to support. This is one area where government hasn't paid enough attention, that they have grown all by themselves. They become an entire sector by themselves, employing many Nigerians.
Yes.
And that now the government is seeing that they've been doing pretty okay. Let us see how we can support them to grow even bigger.
But I think they are doing just that. The government is supporting them to grow bigger. And as they grow bigger, they are operating within the economy, and the economy creates employment, and so that creates avenue for taxation. When I say taxation, you see, there are so many ways of taxation that can create fund to the economy. Let me give you a typical example. Like the personal income tax, for example, when people talk about revenue in Lagos, yes, this is where you have the highest paid people in this country for now. You know what I'm saying? And the population is here. So if you really look at that taxation alone in Lagos, it's enough for them to make a lot of money, because that is within the purview of the state. I hope you get what I'm saying. But the one that the Federal Inland Revenue actually collects, those are the aspects I think they're going to work on properly to see in what areas they can really improve here and there. Thank God they created the framework has actually been put in place. When Mrs. Ifweko Omegwe was there, she did a lot of work in FIRS to create the enabling environment for a growth in tax collection. And you could hear what they were collecting over the years. They had some target and started moving. So I think they've actually established the foundation for tax. The major challenge we have is a tax. Those who still evade tax, that's still a major challenge. Tax avoidance is not a crime, but tax evasion is a crime. Tax avoidance comes by way of professional people helping to see that tax is brought down. But if you look at the population of this country and we're able to ensure that most of the areas that are actually supposed to be taxed properly are put into the purview, I think government will make a lot of money.
Oh, that
Let me give you an
definitely.
example. People, capital gain tax, for example, that's the major area. People just make a lot of stupendous money and move on. Nobody is able to track you to wherever you made some money. If you inherit property, you're supposed to look at it back and see what tax you're going to pay before you claim it to be ownership. And these are areas which I think government should be able to look at deeply to see what it can do to actually. I think Federal Revenue should be able to do a lot of work. I see it as a wake-up call. The oil thing, I've never seen it as it's a wake-up call that we should sit up and think properly and see the best way to grow this economy.
In thinking properly, before the producers bring up a slide of a breakdown of budget, in thinking properly, how realistic would this be? Staying with that question about the revenue, how realistic would this be? I mean, the sources of revenue to run the economy. Okay, that's a breakdown, for instance. Say the current expenditure, 2.6, capital expenditure, 634 billion, external debt, considered very well.
9.5 billion.
That domestic debt, about 601.
60.1.
60.1 billion. Budget deficit has been put at 756. Domestic borrowing, and all that's a breakdown of what's going to. But let's look at that oil benchmark, for instance. Oil, as that yesterday, was selling for about $63 per barrel, but our benchmark was above it. As commendable as it is, that the direction is beautiful, I mean, moving away from the oil production direction to other areas. What about our benchmark? What do you think? By putting that benchmark at 65 and the oil selling at 63 and likely to go down further, how would that affect us?
She started the discussion by saying that they should look at the economy as a non-oil producing country, which means the emphasis actually has been on other areas to generate income. The 65 benchmark is a budget estimate for now. And don't think they're going to slip and wait for it to continue to slide. So I think what it is that, yes, they put that instead of creating room for, like I said, I don't enjoy this idea of excess crude because I think it creates room for people to just see there's money to be shared somewhere and you go and share. But it's rather to look at it, how do you make it better to achieve your 65. So even if, like you said, what the fear now is that, okay, we're 65 and we're selling below 65. So there's already a deficit, and we need to make up that deficit. And that deficit can be made up by other sectors of the economy for now. But I think in due course, if they're able to grow beyond that, they can make up for that deficit.
But how factual is that statement? She said that, well, this budget proves that we're a non-oil economy, and that she wants Nigerians, or that the government wants Nigerians to begin to see the country in that particular light. But if we look at the fund, where we're hoping to get our source of funding, you would see that it would seem that we're still going to be relying heavily on this one commodity. So how does that make us a non-oil economy?
Okay, I agree. The main thing here now, why she used that word, I'm not here to speak for her, but why she used that word, maybe the major drop from what it used to be to 65 shows that we can still work this economy without relying strictly on oil. But what you said, even at 65, that still form a basis for the projection to whatever is going to happen. But I think, like I said, they won't just sit down and wait for the whole economy to collapse on it. But I think what the whole idea is to say that let's move this economy from thinking oil to thinking of all other sectors where we can grow.